Hello students, I'm Dr. Teresa Bini from ICFI Business School, and I have been teaching the subject of managerial economics for nearly 20 years, both in IBS Kolkata as well as in IBS Bangalore. So I would just like to begin by giving you what you can expect at the end of this course. So this basically provides an in-depth analysis of the various theories and the behavior of economic agents. And when I say economic agents, I mean individuals and firms. Besides, this course also aims at providing application of various microeconomic theories and concepts in managerial decision making. So how are we going to extensively use case studies in managerial decision making and also to apply the various theoretical concepts? So students at the BBA level or at the BCom level, you would have studied this subject and you would have studied the theory and used a few numericals as well. But here you would be studying case studies extensively. So that's going to be the difference in your managerial economics course at the PGPM level or the postgraduate level. Okay. Now, in addition to that, you will also be applying Excel tools wherever necessary, again, in order to apply all these theoretical concepts. So let me quickly go into the course contents. So we would be starting with a basic introduction to economics. That is, we would be giving you the definitions of scarcity, efficiency, etc., which are the basic economic definitions. In addition to that, we will also be giving you the various economic systems prevalent. For example, what is mixed economy? What is capitalistic economy? What is a socialistic economy? And what are the characteristics that distinguishes these economies? How do they address issues or questions of how to produce, what to produce, and for whom to produce? Next, we move over to demand analysis. Now, what are we going to do in demand analysis? Basically, we will introduce the concept of law of demand. We will study the exceptions to law of demand, the basic ceteris paribus assumption on which the law of demand is based, okay? And the relationship between price and quantity demanded, okay? So that is what we're going to study. So how are we going to draw the demand curve from the demand schedule? And is the relationship or is price and quantity negatively correlated, or is it a positive relationship between price and quantity? These are the things we would study. In addition to that, we will also be dealing with the topic of elasticity. There are three types of elasticity basically. You have the cross elasticity, the price elasticity, and the income elasticity. And the price elasticity has implications on the revenue of the firm. So what are the principles that govern these elasticity measures? How do you calculate them? And how does it impact revenue? That is what we're going to see. Now, we will also be introducing the demand equation. For example, QD is equal to 200 minus 50P. So what do you mean by this QD? What do you mean by price? And why do you have a negative sign there? All this will be studied in depth, okay, when we do the topic demand. Supply will also be analyzed on similar lines. Now, we would also be going over to consumer behavior. So what is consumer behavior? There are theories in microeconomics like cardinal utility theory or your utility analysis, and ordinal utility theory or your indifference curve analysis, which studies consumer behavior. So that is what we will be doing under that. This will be linked to case studies. So to understand whether the assumptions on which these are based hold good in realities. So let me tell you students, I would just like to make it very clear that all these topics would be mapped to case studies, okay? So there's not even a single topic that is going to be analyzed just theoretically. It will always be linked to the real world scenario. Now, a very integral part of managerial economics is production and cost analysis. Now, when we talk about production, we will introduce the production function, the various concepts in production like average product, marginal product, etc. And we will also very importantly study returns to scale and how the producer reaches equilibrium. So that is an important aspect we will be studying, subject to his cost constraint. As you know, production and cost are linked. They are mirror images. So the cost analysis is always preceded by a thorough study of production. Next, we move over to cost. What does cost entail? We classify the different types of costs under various heads. Like, for example, what do you mean by variable cost? What do you mean by fixed cost, etc.? That would be studied in depth under cost analysis. Okay. And also, what do you mean by the short run cost curve? Why is the cost curve U-shaped? And things like that will be done in detail in this chapter. Now, very interesting aspect of managerial economics, I'm sure all of you students can actually relate to, is how do you classify industries under various market forms? So you have perfect competition and monopoly. And under imperfect competition, you have monopolistic competition and oligopoly. Now, two main features which distinguish these market structures are, one, the number of players in the market, okay, and also the conditions for entry and exit of these players. That distinguishes them or classifies almost all industries under any one of these market forms. Okay, but we would also be, in addition to this, studying how price and output is determined in each of these market structures. Next, we move over to pricing. We will be studying about the widely used pricing practices like markup pricing, premium pricing, etc. That is what this topic would entail. Last but not the least, we move over to game theory, which is actually a topic which would come under oligopoly. And as we know that business firms take decisions under conditions of risk and uncertainty. So whatever decision they take, okay, will have a reaction from its rival, okay, or they themselves would take a decision following what the rival has done. So decisions are interdependent. So this is what we would be studying under game theory. As far as the suggested textbook goes, you can safely depend on Managerial Economics by Robert Pendick and Daniel Rubenfeld. The reason why I'm suggesting this textbook to you is because these topics, almost all these topics, are accompanied by relevant case lists in this book. So you can map almost all topics that you've studied in your syllabus to the real world scenario. And that is why this book is preferred. Well, Managerial Economics by Samuelson is yet another reference book which you can use. Do you have any questions, please? You are free to clarify your questions as the session is on. So I would just stop here to know whether you have any doubts.
Yes, ma'am. Are there any other recommended textbooks?
I would say that you can rely on any of these two books. The first suggested textbook, Robert Pendick and Daniel Rubenfeld, would be more than enough. But Paul Samuelson's Managerial Economics is also widely used. So you can rely on that as well. Okay. I wouldn't really, at this juncture, I do not want to give you any other textbook. If there is something else, I will definitely, during the course of the session, give you the name of those textbooks as well. Okay.
Yeah, and also, will you be teaching some numericals as well?
Yes, we would be dealing with numericals under the topic demand analysis, elasticity, cost and production, definitely a few numericals. All topics will not have numerical analysis, but a few topics like demand and supply, as well as consumer behavior and cost and production, will have a few simple numericals. Yes, it will be dealt with. Now, as you know, we are now heavily relying on online learning, and this combines synchronous and asynchronous learning. So what do you mean by synchronous learning? These are live sessions, just like your lectures, okay? Dealing with syllabus related topics using the Zoom application, and where I will introduce you to the various Excel tools which you can use in certain topics. And these tools are pivot tables and other statistical functions, okay? This could be integrated with, or will be integrated with, or blended with Moodle enabled learning, which in ICFI is called as Quick Course. And if you, I'm sure by now you would have access to Quick Course. You would have your course page, and on the course page, videos and PPTs would be embedded session wise. Okay, so you would be able to access these videos even before the course starts, the PPTs and videos. So that would be like a preparatory session for your actual live Zoom session. Okay. Now, after the live session is over, you will have an activity, okay, on Quick Course. Like, for example, case studies could be analyzed using the forum activity. Quiz activities can also be used to test what you have done or what you have understood from the class. Besides that, you will also have assignment. Now, all this you can access using the activity link under each session in your course page, on your course page, okay? And the timelines will also be indicated. For example, if it's a quiz and if it is supposed to be held today, probably the timeline would be indicated. It can be taken only between 10 to 10:30 in the morning, and after that you cannot submit. Same is the case with assignment. You will be given more days. So you will have to complete all these activity related things within the stipulated time. Evaluations will also be done on similar lines. Now, the Excel tools, I was mentioning again and again that we will be using Excel tools, and all topics are not amenable to this. So statistical functions like demand forecasting, okay, would be done under the topic demand. We would be forecasting sales as a proxy for demand. Regression to show the impact of select factors like prices on demand, okay, depending on availability of data. Besides, we will also analyze the data sets of companies' cost-related information. Sometimes mass information is available, mass data is available. So we would be organizing it, classifying it under different heads using pivot tables. And under the topic markets, we will be recommending, we would be using charts and graphs like pie charts to study the market share of different industries over a period of time. So you can see how the industries have evolved over a period of time and what market structure it can be classified under. So charts would help in this kind of analysis. Now the suggested cases would be understanding crude oil demand, which is a CDC case under demand analysis. Tesla in China. Can Starbucks sustain its high prices in China? All these are cases that would be mapped to the topic demand analysis. Okay. Besides this, this case on Starbucks can also be applied to the topic pricing. Now, under market structure, you have the C factor, cement industry in India, unhealthy oligopoly and controls. As the very name suggests, it can be classified under the topic oligopoly in your market structure, imperfect competition. Okay. Ambassador riches to rags, is competition the culprit, is also a topic under market structure. And a case which all of you will be able to relate to very easily is case of Reliance Jio marching towards monopoly. All of you know about Reliance Jio and how it started and how it has evolved over a period of time. Basically, this case talks about evolving market structures, or how a market structure or a market form can transition over a period of time. So this is how these cases are divided, and this is what you will be doing. Now, as I said, we will be extensively using case method. So it's not only these recommended cases, a number of caselets and other case studies from reliable sources will also be used. So students, I would just like to tell you that for any successful learning experience, there has to be cooperation from your side. And I look forward to a very stimulating learning experience with participation from your side. Okay. If you have any more questions, you're free to ask those questions now.
Yes, ma'am. How do you evaluate the cases?
Now, cases can be evaluated by using the assignment activity, where you will give a brief analysis of the case and give it under the activity assignment, or it could be in forum, in the form of a forum. So analysis will be given in the forum and the activity under the forum column. Okay, so that is one, and it can be done individually or in groups. So these are the two methods how cases would be analyzed. That's a good question. Any other questions? Okay, if you have any other questions, you are free to ask during the course of the session. You can stop me and ask the questions, or you can pose your questions in the chat option, or you can pose your questions at the end when I begin my Q&A session. Okay, so you can opt for any of these methods. So I would be happy to clear all your doubts. So if you have no more doubts, then we will meet in the next session. So please come well prepared and also be ready to complete your activity. Okay, thank you.